everyone, so today we're gonna make a strawberry. I think this is very cute. You've got the white seeds, you've got the part at the top with the little stem, and then of course the red strawberry. So I hope you enjoy this today and I'll take you through it step by step. Let's get started. Okay, so we are going to start. Well, first of all, I use a 1.9mm hook, but feel free to use a 3 or up to a 3mm hook because your strawberry will turn out just the same. And I use 4-ply cotton yarn. Later on, we'll be using a pair of scissors, a little bit of white yarn, and we'll just pull it apart to make it 1-ply, as I'll show you soon. And then you will also need a little bit of a needle, as you can see here. So this is the needle that we'll be using. Okay, so to begin, what we will do is make a magic ring. So with our hook, we're just going to make our magic ring right here. And after our magic ring, the next thing that we do is crochet 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. So here's how I do my single crochet stitches. I pull the yarn through and then the yarn goes through those 2 loops on the hook. So that's 1. And then if we repeat, this will be number 2. Then this will be number 3, 4, 5 coming up, and number 6. Okay, so we've just finished crocheting 6 single crochet stitches in this magic ring. So now I'm going to pull this yarn tail over here. You pull it nice and tight and it will close up the gap in our magic ring. And then from here we're going to crochet in a spiral. So when I start the next stitch, this will be the beginning of my second round. So I've done 1 round right here, and this now is going to be my second round where I begin. Use a stitch marker if you want to, so you can note what the beginning of your next round is. I'm just going to be counting, and this is the pattern as you'll see down the bottom. So we're going to be doing a single crochet stitch. So here's my single crochet stitch, and then I will have an increase next. And an increase means 2 single crochet stitches inside the 1 stitch. So you just saw me make an increase, so I've got 2 single crochet stitches inside this stitch right here. Now I'm going to repeat exactly what I did. So we've got a single crochet stitch and then an increase over here. So this will be my increase, 1 in the same stitch, 2 single crochet stitches, and then I will repeat that 1 more time. So there's my single, and here is my increase coming up. So here's the increase, and then we've just completed our second round. So in the second round you should have a total of 9 stitches, and that's our second round done. Now we still continue from here on out to crochet in a spiral. Now in round 3 what you will be doing is 2 single crochet stitches and then an increase, and we will repeat that pattern 3 times. So we've got 2 single crochet stitches, so here's 1, here's number 2, and then an increase. So here's the increase here with the first single crochet stitch and then the second. So let's repeat that now another 2 times. So here it is. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet stitches, and the increase, 1 and 2. And now let's do it one last time. We've got a single crochet stitch again, and finally an increase. And this is our last increase of our 3rd round. So there we go, 3rd round is now done. Now for round 4 what we'll be doing is 2 single crochet stitches and an increase, but we repeat that 4 times. So right now we have 12 stitches in the round, but we want to go from 12 to 16. So in order to do this, we do 2 single crochet stitches, then an increase, 1 and 2, and now repeat that another 3 times. So let's do that again. So here's the first stitch, 1, 2, and then an increase. Here's the increase right here, 1 and 2, and then again single crochet stitch, second single crochet stitch, and then the increase, 1 and 2, and then again last time single, single, and increase. So after this increase you will have a total of 16 stitches in the round. So here we're starting to look a bit more like a strawberry here. In round 5 what we will do is 3 single crochet stitches. So here's 1, 2, and here's the 3rd single crochet stitch, and then here we have an increase. So 1 and 2. Now let's repeat that pattern another 3 times, so in total 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. So let's do the increase here. So this is 1 and 2. All right, another 2 times to go. So 1, 2, coming up, and then third single crochet stitch with an increase next. So here's the increase, 1 and 2. And then we'll repeat this one more time to finish off this round. So 1, 2, 3, and finally an increase. So 1 and 2. And there we go. So that is the end of round 5 right here. We have 20 stitches in our round, and now we're going to start with round 6. Now with round 6, I'm just going to make 20 single crochet stitches, so there are no increases in this round, as you will see. So let's show you right here. So let's count to 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we got 10 to go. Let's do those together. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 3 more, 18, 19, and 20. So that is the end of round 6 right there. Pause the video if you need to, so you can do this, or if you're already here and ready to go for the next one, let's begin. So in round 7, this time we're going to do or make 4 single crochet stitches. So 1, 2, 3, here's the 4th single crochet stitch coming up, and now we have an increase. 1 and the 2nd stitch in the same stitch, so that's the increase there. Now what I want you to do is repeat that another 3 times. I'm not going to show you all the way because you're getting used to this now. Repeat it another 3 times and then we'll finish. That's the end of round 7, so you should have a total of 24 stitches in round 7. So I'll let you guys do that and then we'll come back. Round 7 is now complete. We have 24 single crochet stitches in the round. Now for rounds 8 and 9, what we will do is 24 single crochet stitches. So again, you can pause the video and just complete those 24 single crochet stitches in the round, but for rounds 8 and 9. So that's a total of 2 rounds. So I'll meet you back at the end of you completing that, ready for round 10. Alright, so rounds 8 and 9 have just been finished. So we are starting to look like a strawberry, that strawberry shape. Now for round 10, this is going to be our first decrease round. So with the decrease, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to crochet 4 single crochet stitches. So let's do this here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we will make our first decrease. So to make our invisible decrease, this is how we're going to do it. We'll have the hook come in the very first loop here, and it's the front loop only. Then in the very next stitch, we have the hook go into the next front loop. Then we pull the yarn through, and we have 2 loops on the hook, and then we pull the yarn through that. So that is what we call an invisible decrease, because you've made 2 stitches into the one. And now we are going to repeat that a total of 4 times. So let's do the 4 single crochet stitches. So here's number 2, 3, and 4. And now we have the decrease. So let's make this decrease now. Front loop again, pull the yarn through, and pull the yarn through. So now we have made a total of 2 decreases. And let's repeat it again. So 1, 2 single crochet stitches, 3 single crochet stitches, and 4, and now we have our decrease. So front loop, pull the yarn through, and pull the yarn through. And let's do that one more time. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then again front loop, next front loop, pull the yarn through, and pull the yarn through. So we have just finished round 10 right there. We have, and you can count this for yourselves, you should have 20 single crochet stitches all the way around. Now for round 11, we're going to do the same thing, except instead of 4 single crochet stitches, we will now have 3. So let's do this together. So we've got 1 single crochet stitch, 2 single crochet stitches, 3 single crochet stitches, and here is our decrease. So here's the decrease there. First decrease done. Let's repeat this again. So 1, 2, 3, and then a decrease. There is the decrease. Okay, we repeat this another 2 times. So 1, 2, 3, with a decrease next, 1 and 2. And last time, 1 single crochet stitch, 2 single crochet stitches, 3 single crochet stitches, and a decrease. So we finish on the decrease there, and there we go. Guys, we just finished round 11. Now for round 12, what we will be doing is again the same thing, but this time instead of 3, we have 2 single crochet stitches. So 1, 2, and a decrease. Here's the first decrease. Then let's do this again, another 3 times. So single crochet stitch, single crochet stitch, and a decrease. There's the decrease. Okay, 2 more times of repetition. Single crochet stitch, and decrease. There we go. One more time. Single crochet stitch, and final decrease for this row or round, sorry, is right there. So that is the end of round 12. Now before we close this strawberry up, what I will suggest to you is that we put in the fiber filling. So that's what we need to do right now. So grab yourself some fiber filling, just like I have here. It just comes from a cushion or a pillow, or you can buy it. You should have some lying around. And what we'll do is just force our fiber filling inside our strawberry. So once you've forced it inside, and I would recommend probably not using your fingers, although you can, but once it starts getting a little bit tough, use a pair of cutters. So you can see here I'm starting to use a pair of cutters to really compress the yarn inside my strawberry here until I've got a lot of fiber filling in. It's not pushing my strawberry out, it's not too, I guess, floppy as well. You just want the right amount, and you kind of get a gauge for how that feels by your own fingers and how floppy or how tight it is with those stitches and the fiber filling that goes in. So I'll let you continue adding fiber filling until you think whatever is best, and then come back and we'll complete that last round. Alright, so I have filled up this strawberry as much as possible, and I hope you have too. So it's very tight looking, but it looks great if you can see the strawberry here. So now what I will be doing is the final round. So this is round 13, I do believe. It will be written down at the bottom anyway. And here's what we need to do. We need to make 5 decreases. So you might be thinking, why not 6? Well, I'll show you why in just a minute. So let's make these decreases first. So let's do 5. So here's the first invisible decrease. Here's the second invisible decrease. Then here's the third invisible decrease. And do your best not to get any fiber filling attached to your hook and yarn. Here's the fourth invisible decrease. And then we have one more. So this will be the 5th. So that is number 5. And there we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we should have 7 stitches left, okay? Now the reason I don't do 6 is you can already see that this circle here is quite small. So even if I did one more, if I tried to close this, you might be left with a bit of like these lumps or towers. It just wouldn't look like a seamless project. So that's why I've only done 5. And so just trust me on this, only do 5 decreases. In the very next stitch, what you can do is a slip stitch to finish it off. So just work a slip stitch there and then pull the yarn just about, give yourself about 10-ish centimeters. I probably have a little bit more than 10, but around 10 is exactly what you need. Now in this very last part here, what we will do is we're going to grab a needle, and it doesn't matter how big this needle is for this portion. So we'll just have the yarn tail enter into the eye of the needle. Even with such a big eye of this needle, I still struggle to get the yarn through it. I don't know why, but it is what it is. Okay, so now what we will do to close this circle here, and this will work for any project, you're going to come in the front loop. So here's the front loop of a stitch, and I'm going to pull the yarn tail through that. And then I will come in the front loop of the next one and pull the yarn tail through that. then the front loop of the next one. So this is my 3rd front loop, my 4th front loop, my 5th, number 6 coming up, and there should be 7 in total. So this will be the 7th here where I tried to make that slip stitch. Okay, once you've pulled it through, the next thing is you will pull it and you'll see it start to close, and you want to pull it really well. All like that. So we're looking good. We are looking very good. I can even go in this, I want to kind of go in this front loop over here just so it looks a bit more seamless as I'm pulling through. There we go, that looks even better. Just see what works for you, but this is what I'm gonna do. So once I've pulled that, and now you can see we have no lumps, no bumps up the top here, and I've pulled it as best as I can, and now my needle is gonna go straight through the center and come out anywhere else. It doesn't matter where you come out, it's all red yarn, it's not gonna clash in color. And I just pull it a little bit until this kind of settles itself. It turns out very nice, you don't see any lumps forming, and it's just a beautiful seamless project. Now I'm going to come in another stitch here and just work my way somewhere else, and that will really secure that portion that I have tightened up and closed the gap there for. Then I'll use a pair of cutters and I'm going to chop that yarn tail because it's excess that we don't need. You could still weave it in through the body if you wanted, even if you wanted to make it more secure, but that's up to you. I'll let you do that. And then wherever that yarn tail was left, you push it inside with your yarn needle, but looks like mine's already disappeared here. So anyways, this is the body of the strawberry that we have just finished, and it's looking great. Alrighty-o, it's time to go with the stem of our strawberry. So you can see here we've got a little bit of a stem, and we've got these little petals that kind of flow over the top of our strawberry. So that's exactly what we are going to do now. So still you'll have the same hook size, you will also have the same 4-ply cotton yarn, but this time in green. And what we'll do to begin this off is have a magic ring as always. So we usually always begin our amigurumi projects with a magic ring. So let's make this magic ring quickly here, and there we go. There's our magic ring. Now the next thing we will do is, now you can choose what you want. If you want a bigger stalk at this point, then you'll do an extra round, okay? But if you don't, just follow what I do. So again, if you want a longer stalk, do an extra round that I'll tell you once we get there, but if not, just follow what I do. So that's up to you guys. So in this magic ring, I'm going to make 6 single crochet stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, actually sorry, 5, make it 5. So here's 5. That's my 5th one. And we'll leave it as 5. Just again, it's 5 single crochet stitches in the magic ring. Hope you didn't pause the video and, oh well, it's written anyway at the bottom, so you shouldn't have. Okay, now we are going to crochet again in a spiral, so no slip stitch and chain 1 as we would normally do. So come into my very first stitch, and in the second round, so this is round 2 now, we're going to make again 5 single crochet stitches. So let's make these 5. So here's number 1. Here's number 2, then this one is number 3, then we have number 4, and finally number 5. You guys are doing great. Okay, you can see that the project is starting to turn inside out here, so we need to correct that. You can use a pair of cutters or whatever it may be. Don't continue on crocheting, because if you get to the 3rd round, you're gonna struggle. So here we go. We've just turned that the right way around. So we've got this here, a little stalk. Now, if you want this as a long stalk, do another round of 5 single crochet stitches. So your round 3 technically would be 5 single crochet stitches. If not, just leave it as is. Now, imagine you finish round 3 or round 2, and this will be the next step, depending on long and short of whatever you guys want. Now in the very next stitch, what we're going to do is, well, first of all, I got to find the stitch, and it should be right here. And I'm going to make a slip stitch. So this will just even it all out, even out that stalk. So you can see I've just made my slip stitch right there. Now the next thing I will do is chain 6, because we want to make these little leaf areas, okay? And we need to make 5 of them in total. So we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Right, you have chain 6 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And not come here, don't go there. You'll come in the second loop from the hook. And no, a lot of patterns will have that written as well. When you chain, you always go in the second loop from the hook to begin. So in this second loop from the hook, you'll just make a slip stitch. So just a regular slip stitch here. In the very next loop, you'll make a single crochet stitch. In the next loop, you'll make a half double crochet stitch, and this will be the widest point of your little leaf, which means in the next loop, you'll have a single crochet stitch, and then in the very last loop, you will have a slip stitch. And there is our first little leaf portion of the stalk. So then I'm going to come into that stitch right there and make another slip stitch. There we go. And all you will do at this point is just repeat that pattern a total of 5 times. So you should end up with 5 of these little leaves. So I'll let you guys do that now. Now that you know the pattern is written down the bottom, and then we'll come back once we're finished. So I have just finished my stem, as you can see here, and I'm just going to, so I made a slip stitch, and now I'm going to pull the yarn through, and I'll give myself a little bit of a tail. And this is the tail that I will use to sew this stalk and leaf section onto my strawberry later on. Now this middle section here, I can just cut this here because we won't need it, and it's already pretty secure. One thing I do want to point out to you is that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these leaves, and it just all depended on where I began. So for example, do you remember when we made that slip stitch and then did these first 6 chains? Once I finished coming down here, I made the slip stitch in the same stitch, and that's how I ended up with 6. But if you wanted only 5, then you'd make the slip stitch in the very next stitch. I hope that makes sense. There's no wrong or right way to do it. You can either have 5 of these or 6 of them, depending on where you make that very first slip stitch, if that makes sense. Okay, so before we sew on this portion of our stalk and stem, well, kind of is, to our strawberry, what we will do is we need to grab some white cotton yarn. So if I can find some white cotton yarn, perhaps here, for example, I had 4-ply cotton yarn originally, and then I took 1 ply of this. So imagine I take one of these strands here and I pull that apart, and I ended up pre-cutting my yarn and giving myself around about 40 centimeters worth of here white yarn. Okay, so about, oh, actually I probably have a little bit more, but you won't need it. So 40 centimeters is more than enough there. Now if I grab a smaller needle this time, so this time we shouldn't use a big fat needle. Instead, we will use our smaller, more finer needle where it's quite sharp here to do the embroidery section of this strawberry. Now, I would say that this section is not too difficult. All it is a little bit of sewing, and you continue on with that sewing throughout the whole process. So I'm going to show you how to do that as soon as I get my yarn through this needle. So there we go. All right, yarn is through this needle. Now what we're going to do is take away the stem because we don't need it yet. We'll sew that on later. But with my strawberry here, I'm going to make lines that go straight down. So for example, I'll just have my needle coming anywhere, and then I will come up here, and this is like eyeballing it. There's no exact way to do this. I'm just going to start making lines. So I'll come out every couple of stitches in the round, and you just pull a line like that. And here I'm going to come down here and do the exact same thing. Then I'm going to come around over here and again pull the line. So here's another great spot. And I'm just, can you see how I'm like skipping every 2 to 3 stitches or whatnot in the round, and then I will continue to create that line for my strawberry. And that's really all you're going to do over and over and over again until you have finished the strawberry. So why don't you do that now, or you can watch me as well do this in double speed, so 2 times speed, and then we'll come back once we've finished the entire strawberry, and then we will sew on the stem, and that will be it. Okay, so there we go. We've kind of finished all of these white seeds for our strawberry. It's looking great. And I've just inserted my needle into the same section where I originally inserted my needle. So I'm going to tie a double knot at this point. So there's one knot. This will be the second knot coming up. And that will be enough. And then we can cut close to the knot. And once we've done that, then we can use the yarn needle and push in our knot into the body to hide it away, and we won't need to see that anymore, and everything is quite secured. So there we go. Here's our beautiful strawberry with the seeds. Now the only thing I would probably suggest for you to do is, instead of using 1 ply, make it 2, just so that the white seeds are a little bit thicker. But again, that's up to you, and you can make it for your second strawberry or whatever you desire. But anyways, using 1 ply or 2 ply for the seeds is more than fine. Okay. Finally, we do have our wonderful stem and stalk. I love how I call it stem and stalk, and probably isn't that at all. But we need to pin this down, and this is a good way to show you. So let me just find my pins. Okay, so I've got my pins here, and now all I'm going to do is make sure that the center part is kind of in the middle of my strawberry. Just making sure it kind of lines up there, because that's what we want, right? And then with all of these little leafy parts, I'm going to just average them out across the circumference of my strawberry, and I'm going to, so you could either, it depends, it's really up to you. Do you want to sew it right at the end here, or do you want to leave a little bit sticking up? I like to leave a little bit of mine sticking up. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sew around about this point and not at the end. That way some of those leaves just stick up a little bit, which is kind of more, for me, a little bit reminiscent of what an actual strawberry looks like. But again, if you have only 5 of these leaves, just make it look symmetrical all the way around, where it's evenly spaced apart, which is what you want. I've got 6, so I'm just going to work with 6 here. And as you can see, this will be the end look of my strawberry, which is exactly what I want. So now what I will do is I can use a big yarn needle at this point. You don't need to use a small one, although if you want to use a small yarn needle, that is more than fine too. Okay, so I've got the needle in, and now from this point, all I would do is come down here, or even, like, it just really depends what you want to do. Like, there's no right or wrong way for sewing. And I'm going to find the first needle where it entered into and where it came out, and I'm going to have the needle with my yarn come out at that spot. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Then I'm going to pull the needle through, make sure it doesn't get in the way of any of these pins, and then wherever the needle was, wherever the pin was, my needle's going to come through my little leafy section and then back around here, and then I will enter back into that same stitch point, and I'm ready to sew the next one. So for example, here's the next one, and here's the pin, that's where it comes. So I'm going to have my needle come straight out of that section. I'm going to pull it through just like that, So this one is nice and done here. And then again, I'm going to have my needle come through one of the sides and then out around the other side. And then I'll enter back into the same stitch. And then I'm just going to follow that all the way around. So there's my needle over here. So that means, sorry, my pin again. So that means my needle has to come out there or around that section. I'll pull nice and tightly over here, just even its way across. And then my needle is going to come up through one side of my leaf. So you can see one side is around here. Take that pin out, pull the needle through. The needle will come all over here. It will go back in this section, ready to find where the pin is for the next one. So it's right here. Pull this nicely. And just keep going until you finish all 6. So this is not like a really difficult part of the sewing, but it is necessary. Like, you do need to learn how to sew, and sewing is not hard. That's the thing. Like, I don't know why people think it is difficult. It's really not. I think the most difficult thing is working out what size needle you should be using, and I guess that is just all sort of trial and error, and you kind of get used to what size depending on how thick or small you want your yarn to be as you sew it into your amigurumi product. And that's it. Like, that's seriously all it is. Other than that, you guys will get used to sewing, so highly recommend just get used to the sewing. I mean, I never liked sewing at the beginning as well, but you just get used to it, and now I'm an advocate for it. Now, since we didn't really sew that stem to the body of our strawberry, I'm just going to go around that a little bit. So you'll see that as I do that now. So I'm just coming in here. I might force myself out here. I'm going to come out here because it's too hard to turn my needle at that point. But what I'll do is I'll go back into the same stitch and then come out in another place where I've got the center. You see that? And so it hides here, and then I'm back here, and then I'll come out again, sew that stem in place a little bit more, come out where I think I can go. It doesn't really matter because we won't be using that stitch there. And then I'll come straight back in here and come out back here to sew down that stem a little bit better. And this will be the last one that I do. So I'll come around this side this time, have my needle come in, go out anywhere. And you can see my yarn tail is getting shorter and shorter. But we are finished now at the top here, which is great. What we do have to do though is secure this. So I'll just weave it through the body a few times, going in and out of the same stitch space. So you can see, so I've come out here, so I go back in it. And that way you create more of these tangled webs inside the body of the strawberry. So I'll just do that a few times, just like you saw me do. And that will really secure this yarn tail at the top here. And that's it. Now we have our beautiful strawberry. You can add a keychain to it. We've got our stem at the top. We've got our beautiful white seeds all the way around, and there is your finished strawberry. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial, and I'll see you in the next one. Please subscribe and like if you haven't already. Thanks guys. Bye.